Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So this video we're going to have a look at some of the eye catchers from the weekend, or horses that caught my eye for different reasons going forward, where a couple of them where I think they might be going, and who we need to keep an eye out for in future races. Many of these actually won't be going to Cheltenham. In actual fact, I feel only one of these might end up at the Cheltenham Festival, or at the Cheltenham Festival with a chance. So that will come in later videos when we talk more about the Cheltenham Festival horses. So let's just have a quick look at some of those that caught my eye. So first of all, Doyen Quest. Dan Skelton dropped him to 2 mile 5, but he also dropped him to 2 mile 5 at Kempton. That doesn't work for me. As you know, I always put Kempton down as being an easy track to get the trip. So if you're a 2.5 mile horse, you can actually cope with 3 mile at Kempton. So this was not only a drop in trip from 3 miles to 2 mile 5, it was also at Kempton. So I feel this was kind of down to 2 mile 2, 2 mile 3 at most, which is too short for Doyen Quest. Despite that, he still went off favourite. He's gone off favourite now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in his last 7 runs. And the only other occasion he went off second favourite, I think he went off second favourite. He went off 4 to 1. Yes, he did. He went off 4 to 1, second favourite behind Hamsian. Obviously, Hamsian was really disappointing that day as well. That came at Musselburgh. But I just don't feel the Musselburgh race worked out for a lot of those. The wrong horses were at the front. I would ignore that race. If you ignore that race, his 3 mile form was good. There was no reason to drop him. His 4th placed effort behind Long Draw, Gal Road and Wonderful Eagle, I had no issues with that. He just didn't quite work out for him because of the way he was ridden. They kind of rushed up to get closer and then faded late on. His previous effort at Cheltenham on good ground when he beat Gal Road off a mark of 125, that was a really good effort. And that effort for me was better than his current 133 mark, and he's one that I'm definitely interested in still going forward. I still think he's nicely handicapped, just needs to be found the race, and I do think I found that race straight away. There was a near 3 mile handicap hurdle at Cheltenham on the 17th of April. Really hope we see Doyen Quest there. Second horse that I wanted to talk about was Marshman, who we actually put up what was he, 11 to 4, I think at the time. We're going a 15 to 8 favourite. Beat the horse that was supposed danger, Diligent Harry, who actually drifted out to 4s. And yeah, finished second. Beaten by Clarendon House. Clarendon House got that near side rail, whereas Marshman was stuck out in the middle. I do think Marshman will beat Clarendon House next time out. Go back up to 6 furlongs will be fine for Marshman, or if he'd got a trail through behind Clarendon House, I feel he would have beaten him as well. I still like this horse going forward. Group 1s over 5 and 6 on the turf. Marshman will still be able to get involved in my opinion. Next horse I want to talk about very briefly, Sans Brouet. Dropped. He's going to drop, sorry. He was actually dropped. It was a really poor effort at Chepstow. Beaten 47 lengths. He's just one that you've got to wait until they put all of their eggs in one basket, hopefully, and come back for that race at Aintree in April. He's going to be very well handicapped now. A quick look at the Winter Derby, won by Royal Champion, top rated on our ratings, which was lovely. Beat RTR2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect result for the ratings. Royal Champion, yeah, he's clearly very good at this level. Military Academy, I imagine will improve, and I think will be better back on the turf, to be honest. But Royal Champion at this stage of their careers was the right winner in that race. But a lovely result for the ratings. A lovely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the Winter Derby. Next horse caught my eye, quite obvious, Intense Raffles. That was a huge effort, I thought, behind Nick Rocket. In the right race, beat Capitano, beat Manila Kakuna. Yeah, it's going to be the Grand National for Intense Raffles, and to be honest, I think he should be favourite. an Irish national winner, has no weight compared to some of his other rivals, including, the graded horses. I think Intense Raffles could have been a graded horse, as in he could have been a Grade 1 horse if he'd been aimed at those type of races. He hasn't. Yeah, he kicked off last season winning a novice chase, went to Fairyhouse, won another novice chase, eventually ran in the Irish National, and won it, and beat any second now. That, for me, is top class form, and this season it's all been about making sure that his handicap marks stayed around the same before now kicking on after the handicap weights have been announced. I think he should go off favourite personally, Intense Raffles. Got no negatives about him. Moving on to Cheltenham. Dan got it wrong, put the wrong horse in the wrong race again, and really frustratingly, I've seen he's not entered at the weekend in the Coral Gold Cup. The Greatwood Gold Cup, sorry. The Greatwood Gold Cup is worth 56 grand or 57 grand to the winner. Yes, he was in a lucrative race at the weekend, 85, but Phlegmatic should have been in that. Cheltenham should have been going to Newbury. Yeah, he's got all of his horses in the wrong races recently. Don't know what they do. They do all seem to be owned by these people as well. The executors of the late N.W. Lake. They're getting it wrong. Whoever's in charge of placing his horses or their horses, they're getting them wrong. Big time. Maybe we'll see this one at Newbury in March, at the end of March instead of next week. The horse I definitely want you to put in your Nagme is Road to Home. This horse for Winnie Mullins, owned by Mr. Davies, is being handicapped. They're getting this horse handicapped. After winning a bumper at Listowel over 2.5, they dropped him back to 2 mile 2 at Naas, where he was actually in the process of running a nice race when jumping out of the second last, I think it was, in what I think was a good race behind Lovely Hurling, Auto Portrait, Jumper Then. Yeah, I think he was going to run a really big race that day. They then went to Naas, and again they had another Willie Mullins horse in the race to make sure that they didn't get too close. Finished third, didn't get too close. As soon as that horse gets a handicap mark, I'm going to be very interested in Road to Home. I think he could win next time. Ran out third first, could get them a decent lowish handicap mark. I really like this horse though going forward. He's going to be winning something quite nice, I feel. And as soon as he goes handicapping, I'm very, very interested in Road to Home. Go and watch his last 2 runs. They've been very eye-catching. Gabby's Cross returned after 297 days off the track, having been last seen finishing 8th in a handicap hurdle, returned for another handicap hurdle, finished second behind Duke of Lega. This was a very gentle ride. Was given far too much to do. Just mountains to climb the horse had. And was so tenderly ridden by Dara O'Keefe. There was clearly... They were looking after the horse, I'm sure. Ran on really strongly for second. That 125 mark is not beyond him at all. Keep an eye out for him next time, for sure. From this group, next time out, Gabby's Cross is probably the one I'm most keen on backing, because that effort was so eye-catching. Some of the others, Intense Raffles could well end up in the National next. Probably will end up in the National, and I probably will be backing Intense Raffles for the Grand National. But Gabby's Cross was the eye-catcher of the weekend for me, in my opinion. Yeah. Go and watch the race if you want. So far back, ran on strongly. Got to remember, only went off 9-1 last year for a Pertemps final. They clearly thought it was well handicapped off 133 in England. It's significantly lower than that now. And yeah, I'm sure they can find a race probably at Punchestown for Gabby's Cross. And finally, the last horse I want to talk about was Will the Wise, who did win the Pertemps qualifier, which was it our NAP or our next best of the day, purely on the basis it needed to win to get in the Pertemps final, not because it was too low in the handicap. It was our next best. Won it quite nicely in the end, pulled away from Maxi Mac Gold, Yeah, I think that was a very good effort and has certainly thrown his hat into the ring for the Temps final, because it's so close. We know the horse is in, red hot form, and previously, even coming into that some of its efforts were decent runs behind Final Demand finishing third. No, if Final Demand goes on to win that Turner's or the Albert Bartlett, then Will the Wise arguably had no chance. So yeah, I thought it was a very, very good effort at Naas for Will the Wise. We know the horse is in form. He's going to turn up in the Temps final with a big chance, I'm sure. So they are a few eye catchers and horses to keep an eye out for going forward from the weekend.